Morning, students. So last class I did Arab civilization with you, and today we will start medieval Indian civilization, and this also belongs to the medieval world. Okay. So let's see what happens. Like in ancient civilization, Indus Valley came right from India. Indus Valley civilization that emerged as a very prominent and one of the greatest civilization of human being. And now in the medieval period, it was medieval Indian civilization, and we will come to know what are the characteristics and how did it advent in India. In the previous lesson, we have read about the Gupta Empire. After the reign of King Harshvardhan, began a prolonged period of political decentralization between the 8th and 10th century, during which several kingdoms struggled for supremacy. So I already told you that when Gupta Empire, okay, it fell. After that, what happened? There was a lot of political instability, and kingdoms, they were fighting for supremacy. Okay, कुछ स्टेबल नहीं था, बिकॉज कोई एक एम्पायर उस टाइम स्टैंड नहीं ले रहा था, सारे एक दूसरे से लड़ रहे थे. ओके. In northern India, the three major kingdoms were those of Palas, Prathiharas, and the Rashtrakutas. Smaller kingdoms or principalities were established by the Rajput dynasties of the Chauhans, Paramaras, and Gahadwalas. So these three were the prominent Rajput dynasties, and in the north there were three kingdoms. Those were Palas, Pratiharas, and Rashtrakutas. In the south, it was the Chola dynasty that had control over most of the peninsular part of the country. So in south, which kingdom was there? It was the Chola kingdom, which had the supreme power, and the whole of the peninsular India, that is the South India, was ruled by them. This situation of fragmentation of political authority was greatly favorable for an invader like Muhammad of Ghazni. Now see, पॉलिटिकली कैसा हो गया था? इट वॉज नाउ फ्रैगमेंटेड, मीन्स इधर कुछ उधर कुछ, यहाँ कोई रूलर रूल करा, वहाँ कोई रूलर रूल करा, एंड यूनिटी नहीं है. सो इस सिचुएशन का फ़ायदा कौन उठाया उस टाइम? मोहम्मद ऑफ गजनी. ही वॉज ए इन्वेडर एंड he could easily take advantage of a situation like this. After several successful conquests in the western and central Asia, Muhammad turned towards India. ठीक है, पहले उन्होंने वेस्टर्न एंड सेंट्रल एशिया को का कॉन्क्वेस्ट किया, एंड ही वन, एंड नाउ ही एंटर्ड इंडिया. His Indian conquest began in 1000 AD, after which he made repeated invasions over Punjab as far as Kashmir and eastern Rajasthan, and then into the fertile area of the Gangetic Plains. However, Muhammad was not interested in establishing his rule over this country. ठीक है, रूल तो नहीं करना चाहता था, बट ही मेड अ लॉट ऑफ इन्वेशंस. फर्स्ट ही इन्वेडेड पंजाब, राजस्थान, देन इनटू द फर्टाइल लैंड्स ऑफ गैंजेटिक प्लेन्स, दैट इज middle India. So but he was really not interested in ruling India. Okay. Political events. Muhammad's invasions were followed by the coming of the Turks आए थे, Turkish लोग. The Turks established their rule over most of northern India by the 13th century. And now Muhammad of Ghazni, when he started invading India, इस चीज़ का फ़ायदा किन लोगों ने उठाया? टर्क्स ने उठाया. वो समझ गए कि इंडिया का कंडीशन अभी ऐसा नहीं है कि कोई ज़्यादा खतरा होगा इफ़ वी इन्वेड एंड इफ़ वी रूल नाउ. ठीक है. सो दे इन्वेडेड नॉर्दर्न इंडिया एंड established their rule over northern India, most of the northern India, by 13th century. The Turkish rulers were known as sultans and ruled from their capital at Delhi. तो उन लोगों को सुल्तान बोला जाता था, एंड वो लोग दिल्ली से रूल करते थे. दे मेड दिल्ली देयर कैपिटल. देयर एम्पायर इज दस कॉल्ड द दिल्ली सल्तनत. ओके. इट्स मोस्ट पावरफुल डायनेस्टीज वर दोज ऑफ द खलजीज एंड द तुगलक्स. Most of these rulers had to face the threat of invasions by the Mongols. Mongol invasion होता था, and most of the rulers of the Sultan dynasty, they possessed threat from the Mongols only. Meanwhile, in the south, the two powerful kingdoms of Vijayanagar and Bahami were constantly competing with each other for political supremacy. The coming of the Mughals in early 16th century marked a new era in Indian history. Politically, it saw the consolidation of all Indian empire on a scale that had not been witnessed in India for a long time. Socially and culturally, this was a period of fusion of various traditions. Out of this fusion was born a unique tradition which could be seen in the social life, religious practice and belief, and various arts. It was based on mutual acceptance and harmonious coexistence. Obviously, they were Turks, okay, sultans were Turks. Now, when they entered, there was a lot of fusion of culture, fusion of societal behaviors, culture, art, everything. And in the south, two kingdoms, they were continuously fighting with each other for power, and those were this kingdoms of Vijayanagar and Bahami. And Mughals, when they entered, obviously it marked a very important era, a new era in Indian history, right? And there was a fusion of various traditions during that time. Parallel to these centralized empires such as the Delhi Sultanate and the Mughal Empire, there flourished several smaller regional and provincial independent ruling dynasties. ठीक है, तो साथ ही साथ में छोटा मोटा डायनेस्टी भी काफ़ी सारा एमर्ज हुआ. ओके, some of these were the Elias Shahi and the Hussain Shahi dynasties of Bengal, the Ahoms of Assam, the Gajapati dynasty of Orissa, the dynasties of Mewar and Marwar in Rajasthan, and the Sharki dynasty of Jaunpur. तो ये सब भी डायनेस्टीज अलग अलग प्लेसेस में उस टाइम आया. The reign of these independent regional dynasties witnessed the growth of strong and flourishing regional and sub-regional languages, literatures and culture. And इसी सब डायनेस्टी के एमर्जेंस से क्या हुआ, that there were a lot of regional, sub-regional language, they got emerged, literature and cultures, okay, flourished during that time. अलग अलग जगह का अलग अलग तरह का कल्चर. ओके, नाउ पॉलिटिकल इंस्टीट्यूशंस. The coming of the Turks and the Mughals brought in new ideas of sovereignty and governance. Obviously, politically बहुत सारा changes आएगा, because these are Turk people, these are Mughals, okay, and their system of ruling was quite different from what India had experienced earlier. In the first place, kingship itself had no clear-cut legitimate place in the Islamic conception of polity, which was based on the notion of community of equals. Initially, power was shared between the Sultan and the powerful Turkish chiefs or nobles, but the reign of Balban saw an elevation of the position of the Sultan so much that he assumed absolute power in all matters of state and governance. So when initially when sultans, they emerged their dynasty, that time what was there, that Sultan and the chiefs, the Turkish chiefs, they had powers distributed among themselves. More like feudalism. ठीक है, किसी कोई एक सुप्रीम नहीं था, everybody's view mattered, okay, and based on a community of equality. लेकिन when Balban, he became the Sultan, he gained a position and he assumed absolute power over all the matters of state and governance. Means he was the sole power that time. वो किसी मतलब अंडर तो छोड़ो, वो किसी से सलाह भी नहीं लेते थे. ओके, एंड ही took all the matters in his own hands. The power of the Turkish nobility was considerably downsized. The Mughals established the power and prestige of the king at an unprecedented level. Means, without any limits, without any boundaries, they got power. The sultans of Delhi and the Mughal emperors made some innovations in the administrative system. The Mughal emperor came to be regarded as the emperor of India. ठीक है, अब सीधा ये emperor of Delhi से बन गया emperor of India. In the Delhi Sultanate, military commanders were assigned territorial units known as इक्ताज. टेरिटोरियल यूनिट में उन लोगों को डिवाइड कर दिया गया, मिलिट्री कमांडर्स को, एंड दोज टेरिटोरियल यूनिट्स व्हाट वर दे कॉल्ड, दे वर कॉल्ड इक्ताज. दीज टेरिटरीज वर ट्रांसफरेबल. ठीक है, ट्रांसफ़र हो सकता था. The assignees of these iktas were not given ownership of the land but only control over the revenues collected from them. लैंड जब वो लोगों को दिया जाता था ना इक्ताज, दे वर नॉट दे डिड नॉट गॉट द कंट्रोल ऑफ द लैंड बट दे ओनली कलेक्टेड द रेवेन्यूज विच वॉज जनरेटेड फ्रॉम दोज लैंड्स. ठीक है, taxes, revenues. This revenue was to be used by the iqtadar, that is the assignee, to meet his own requirement as well as for the maintenance of his troops. He would then be expected to provide military support with these troops whenever called upon by the emperor to do so. However, the pre-existing structure of control over land and hierarchy in the landed system of the village continued largely undisturbed. The Mughal system was more penetrative with control over the revenue and landed network going much deeper right to the village level. तो ये जो चल रहा था this system okay of land control, this dug deep into till village. ओके ऐसा नहीं था कि शहर में होता था या जहाँ पे नोबल्स रहते थे वहाँ होता था. इवन द पुअर पीपल वेर फोर्स्ड टू फॉलो दिस. The Mughals appointed mansabdars who performed military and civil duties. The mansabs were actually ranks of position which was fixed according to the position of the officers in Mughal bureaucracy and military contingents under their command. These mansabdars were mostly paid through land assignments called jagirs which were frequently transferable. तो जो मिलिट्री मुगल्स जो थे वो मिलिट्री एंड सिविल ड्यूटीज़ के लिए किसको असाइन किए थे? मनसबदार्स को. ठीक है, एंड मनसब्स वर एक्चुअली रैंक्स ऑफ पोजीशन विच वाज फिक्स्ड अकॉर्डिंग टू द पोजीशन ऑफ द ऑफिसर इन मुगल ब्यूरोक्रेसी. ठीक है, तो उनका पोजीशन उसी बेसिस पे फिक्स होता था जिस बेसिस पे मुगल में वो लोगों का पोजीशन हुआ करता था. एंड मनसबदार्स वर मोस्टली पेड थ्रू लैंड असाइनमेंट्स जिसको वो लोग बोलते थे जागीर्स. उनको पेमेंट तो देना पड़ेगा ना किसी फॉर्म में, तो इट वाज ऑन द बेसिस ऑफ लैंड असाइनमेंट्स विच वेर फ्रीक्वेंटली ट्रांसफरेबल, और वो भी काफ़ी ट्रांसफरेबल था. These were similar to Iqtas with the difference that while Iqtas combined administrative charge, Jagirs did not. Administrative charge लगता था Iqtas में, but Jagirs में ऐसा कोई charge नहीं लगता था. The Mughal system was crucially dependent on the smooth functioning of Mansabdari and Jagirdari systems. So both the systems were, the foundation of the Mughal system of ruling. ठीक है, and both these things, the smooth functioning of both these were very important for the Mughal system of administration. ठीक है. So yeah, economy and cultural and religious life we will discuss in the next class, and I guess one more class I need to complete this chapter. So yeah, let's just do it till today. And those who have not sent me the homework on Arab civilization, please send it to me fast. I'm not going to tell you again and again. You have to complete all your work and be updated. Okay, thank you.